They were like brothers, not by blood but by choice. David and Marcus grew up on the same street in Chicago, shared secrets, wins, first heartbreaks. From schoolyard games to adult struggles, they were inseparable. David was the quiet one, steady, grounded. Marcus, charismatic, bold, ambitious. Together they built a small business, something they had dreamed of since high school. It grew fast, and so did the pressure. But David believed in loyalty, until the day it all shattered. A meeting with their biggest investor came. David showed up and found Marcus there alone. The investor had been convinced that David was holding the company back. Marcus had gone behind his back and taken it all. The betrayal wasn't just business, it was a knife in the soul. Years of brotherhood, gone in one silent deal. David walked out without a word. He didn't scream, he didn't beg, he just left. In the weeks that followed, people told him to sue, to expose, to destroy Marcus. But David didn't. He disappeared from the spotlight and embraced something deeper, silence. At first, silence felt like failure. David spent his days walking aimlessly, his nights staring at the ceiling. The betrayal echoed louder in the quiet. How could Marcus do this? How could someone he called brother turn into a stranger? He drafted letters he never sent, recorded angry voice memos he never played back. He imagined confrontations, winning arguments, saying the last word. But deep down, another voice whispered, "Revenge doesn't heal. It only feeds what broke you." Still, the pain was real. He lost his business, his closest friend, his purpose. David isolated himself in a cabin outside the city. There, in nature, he began listening, not to podcasts or opinions, but to the wind, the trees, his own breath. He started journaling. One morning he wrote, "He took everything from me, but I still have my soul and I won't lose it for revenge." Forgiveness didn't come easily. Some days he cursed Marcus under his breath. Other days he cried at the memory of their childhood, but he made a promise to himself. He would forgive, not for Marcus, but for his own peace. And that promise changed everything. One night David remembered something his grandfather once told him. Inside every man there are two fires. One burns with rage, vengeance, pride. The other glows with grace, patience, peace. You can't extinguish either. But you choose which one to feed. That metaphor lived with him. Every time bitterness rose, he asked, "Which fire am I feeding right now?" Instead of posting online, he wrote in private. Instead of calling out Marcus publicly, he prayed in silence. The world didn't see this battle, but inside, it was a war. Years passed. David started teaching local youth about emotional strength and entrepreneurship. He used what he learned, not the success, but the fall. One day, a student asked him, "Sir, have you ever been betrayed?" He paused, smiled gently, and replied, "Yes, but I chose to build from it, not burn with it." That moment sealed something inside him. He no longer saw Marcus as a villain, just a lost man, trapped by ego and fear. David's life became full again, not with fortune but with meaning. He found peace not by rising above Marcus, but by stepping into his own light. Years later, David was invited to speak at a major leadership conference. The theme, integrity in times of crisis. He almost said no, but something told him to go. He stood on stage in front of hundreds. He told his story, not naming names, not seeking pity, just truth, calm, honest. The room was silent. Then standing ovation. As he walked off stage, when someone approached. It was Marcus, older, tired, regret in his eyes. He said, "David, I don't expect anything, but I've carried the weight of what I did every day. You had every reason to destroy me, but you didn't." David looked him in the eyes and replied, "I didn't stay silent because I was weak. I stayed silent because I chose peace." There were no big hugs, no dramatic reconciliation, just a quiet, sacred moment. Marcus walked away. David stood still. In that silence, he felt it. Victory, not over someone else, but over himself. Because true strength isn't in what you say, It's in what you choose not to say. David now lives a life of stillness and clarity. He writes, he mentors, he walks in nature every morning. He's not famous, not wealthy by the world's standards, but inside, he's rich because he understands something most people never do. Peace isn't given, it's chosen. He doesn't tell his story to inspire revenge or justice. He tells it to remind others, you don't always have to fight to win. Sometimes choosing silence, grace, and forgiveness is the loudest victory you'll ever know. He still remembers Marcus, not with hatred, but with understanding. Because healing isn't about forgetting. It's about not letting it define you anymore. And you, what fire are you feeding today? Will you let anger run your story? Or will you write a new one and with peace as the ending? Drop a comment. What moment in your life asked you to choose between revenge and forgiveness? Share this with someone struggling to let go, and remember, you win not when you fight back,